Hello and welcome to this episode in my Fact or Fiction playlist of Hidden History, the channel that explores what the textbook ignores. I'm your host, Andrea Redlin. I am an author, graphic art student, history lover, and I love digging deep into history's graveyard to find the details that you just won't find in the textbooks. The weirder, the better. Now this is probably the first video where I actually won't be announcing a new playlist because I think I need to concentrate on the ones I have for a while. Put some more meat on those bones, so to say. It's taken a lot of restraint though, I can tell you, because I have ideas just exploding from my brain. Who knows how long it will last? I make no promises. Anyhow, welcome subscribers. If you are new here, click that subscribe button for crying out loud. It's not like it's going to cost you anything, unless of course you end up buying some Hidden History t-shirts or something, which I highly recommend. I'm particularly fond of the throw pillows myself, hint hint. You can always kick me to the curb later. You know what they say, you just gotta remove those toxic people from your life. So in today's episode, come with me as we dive to the bottom of the ocean. Yay! Hypothetically, anyway. But in my case, it's more like just pathetically. Hopefully we'll find the answer to this question. Do merpeople really exist? For some reason, I just know I'm gonna get somebody in the comments section who's gonna say, well, I identify as a mermaid, so therefore they do exist. Your video sucks. Right, and I identify as a bank, so bring me all your money, people! I'm talking about real merpeople here, okay? The kind that don't need to breathe outside of water to survive. So unless you can dive to the bottom of the ocean and back without taking a breath, let's just assume that you're just as human as the rest of us. On that note, let's pause for 15 seconds and get that pesky introduction to our sponsor out of the way. This video is sponsored by my company, Dazzling Designs Decor and More, formerly Winter Moon Designs, as I've been asked to partner up with somebody who is much better at running a business than I am. I love having a business partner. Thanks to her, I can mostly just focus on putting my graphic design skills to good use. Dazzling Designs is not only the only place to find hidden history merchandise, but you'll also find home decor, clothing, accessories, and other things you'll love. We hope you'll continue to support Hidden History and make it grow like those weeds in your garden that never seem to die. We now return to our regularly scheduled idiot. The word mer means sea, and the word people means beings known for their infinite stupidity, lust for power, and addiction to YouTube. Oh wait, that's what I'm known for. Oops, damn, I've just let out my best secret. Anyways, put the two words together, mer and people, and you get the term mermaid, merfolk, merperson, etc. For centuries, tales of these aquatic Instagram models have popped out from under the big old blue in the countless stories that have been handed down for ages from all over the world, from the Nino of Japan to the Selkies of the UK to the Mamiwata of Africa. Stories of these mysterious fish beings have popped up everywhere, it seems, just like a mermaid's head. So let's step back in time and get a brief overview of the origins of the merfolk. The earliest known recording of people having fish tails instead of butt cheeks appears in Syrian mythology at around 1000 BC. The older-than-dirt Syrian city of Hierapolis Bambus worshipped some sort of fishy goddess named Atargatis as their chosen deity, and she was half woman, half fish. No surprise there. Here's a fun fact. Men used to castrate themselves in her honor, a practice which thankfully stopped. Ironically, she was also a fertility goddess. Tell me, how does self-castration supposed to help with fertility? Any ideas, guys? Anyways, a bit further in time, Alexander the Great claimed that his sister Thessalonica turned into a mermaid as she died. Come on, Al, I think you've been hitting that wineskin way more than what's good for you. Also during this era, mermaids were more commonly depicted as being half bird, half fish, and it wasn't until the Christian era that we began to see them depicted as half human and half fish. In more recent history, in 1837 to be exact, we have Hans Christian Andersen's well-known story, which was actually just a very short story and not an entire full-length novel, of The Little Mermaid, which does not end happily or feature singing fish, so I much prefer this version over the cartoon Disney version. I'm also the same person who almost always prefers film adaptations that are closest to the story and the source material. For example, I prefer Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet over the 1990s DiCaprio and Claire Danes modernized version. Fight me. Anyways, Google Anderson's story of The Little Mermaid if you really want to know what happens to her. And it ain't pretty. Eyewitness accounts. Now, the possible existence of merpeople has been debated for centuries. No surprise there. Whether the tales are true or not, you have to admit that they're interesting, as you'll see in the following accounts. Pliny the Elder, in his book Natural History, described many sightings of merpeople, writing that their bodies were washing up upon the shore, covered in scales, no less, and according to him, this was a very frequent occurrence. Christopher Columbus wrote the following in his diary, and I quote, "The day before, when Admiral was going to the Rio del Oro, he said he saw 3 mermaids who came quite high out of the water, but were not as pretty as they are depicted, for somehow in the face they look like men." Unquote. Modern scholars have speculated that what Columbus saw was probably manatees. Captain John Smith. Yes, the same John Smith whose statue appears in my Jamestown video. He claimed that he saw a mermaid near Newfoundland in 1614, stating, and I quote, "Her long green hair imparted to her an original character that was by no means unattractive." Unquote. It was probably just a surfacing seal with seaweed caught on its head, but we weren't there, remember? In more modern times, a blonde mermaid was spotted on the shore by the people in a ferry boat in 1967. The story gained fame, and although a $25,000 reward was offered to whomever could capture the mermaid, she was never found, and the story was quite forgotten. In 2009, in Israel, eyewitnesses claimed to see a girl-like figure swimming around in the water doing tricks. A $1 million reward was offered to anyone who could provide proof of her existence. A camera crew claimed to have later seen her in the water, but when they attempted to follow her, she disappeared. The 2012 Zimbabwe sighting, to me, is probably the most interesting. Workers were tasked with going underwater to install a water pump on a dam, when they suddenly returned to the surface. When questioned, they refused to go back underwater, claiming that there was a mermaid down there. A second crew of workers from far away was called in, but the exact same thing happened to them, and the dam was never completed. Any theories about that, guys? So do merpeople exist? If first-hand account can be taken as hardcore evidence, the simple answer is yes. But unfortunately, life is anything but simple. Some people say yes, and others say no. But has any actual evidence of merpeople been found? Well, it's kind of hard to say, especially in our era, mainly due to the fact that we have all this AI technology and super smart electronically gifted people who are experts at making images and videos that look 100% real. In this day and age, we really can't trust our eyes anymore when looking at a screen. There are hundreds of real mermaid caught on videos online, and with all the technology at our disposal, how is one to tell if they're real or fake? Which brings me to one of the biggest questions of all about mermaids. If mermaids are in fact real, why do we not see them? I have 3 theories as to why. Theory number 1, the pollution theory. If mermaids were real, maybe they went extinct due to all the contaminants and pollutants dumped into the ocean on a daily basis. Or maybe they just visited my son's room. Those pesky humans and their oil spills are at it again. Think about it. If a constant supply of spilled chemicals and trash suddenly filled up your environment, you'd probably die off eventually too. Theory 2, the hiding theory. If merpeople were real, maybe they went into hiding once they discovered that humans could build submarines and enter their world for short periods of time. Think about this. If they exist and have similar intelligence levels to humans, don't you think they would take extra care to hide the remains of their dead and their civilizations so we can't find them? Sort of like, the wizarding world hiding from the muggles in the Harry Potter books, right? I mean, if they live way, way out in the middle of the ocean, as far from humans as they could get, who could blame them? Of course we're not going to find any bodies. Ocean wildlife might have eaten the corpses long before any passing ships could scoop them out of the water. Theory 3, the cover-up theory. Maybe it's just one big cover-up like the one with aliens. I don't mean the illegal ones, I mean the ones in the sky. But even if you haven't seen one, you gotta remember that the ocean is so full of creatures that haven't even been discovered yet. New ones are being found all the time. Think about it. We've only been able to journey to underwater in submarines for such a tiny fragment of time in the world's history. The ocean takes up 70% of our Earth, yet we've only explored 5%. 5% of the ocean! That's all. So who really knows what's really out there? Okay, so if merpeople are not real, then what was it exactly that Pliny and John Smith and Columbus saw? Did they really see merfolk, or were they just hitting the rum barrels harder than usual? I think that's what it was, but I don't know. Manatees, dugongs, and seals are often thought to be what people thought were mermaids in the past. Same for dolphins. Nowadays, you're more likely to see professional swimmers dressed as mermaids practicing for their underwater shows. Yes, there actually is such a thing, which is amazing to watch. I wonder just how many people have professional mermaid written on their resume. So my verdict, yes or no? Do merpeople exist? To be honest, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of on the fence about this one. Like I said, the world is full of so many strange things that we haven't yet discovered, so perhaps merpeople are one of those undiscovered things. How about you? What do you think? Do you believe? If you do you have a mermaid encounter story of your own to tell? Put it in the comments. Well, my hidden ones, that's all I have for you today in this fact or fiction episode of Hidden History. Thanks for putting up with me and my snarky sarcasm, or would that be snarkasm? Got a fact or fiction topic you want busted? Post it in the comments. If I use it, I'll definitely give you a shout out in the video it's featured in. Until next time, stay hidden.